I'd like to call a meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the New Mexico flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Julio Efegar a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, libertad y justicia para todos. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Saludo la bandera de Estado de Nuevo Mexico, el símbolo de amistad perfecta entre culturas unidas. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Board Member Carrillo?
Yes.
Secretary Noble?
Yes.
Vice President Cashman?
Yes.
And the Board President votes yes. The superintendent is not here, so there'll be no superintendent announcements. Are there any board announcements? Mr. Carrillo? Board Member Carrillo.
So I can't help but notice that there is, other than our staff from District 4 representing our schools and our staff from Santa Fe Public Schools, that there is not one soul here from District 4. Nary a one. And when we had the forum a couple weeks ago, all of us were there, and there wasn't one person from District 4. So if you're watching, or if anyone's out there, you're being scolded for not taking part in this process and in your Santa Fe public school system. And it's absolutely deplorable.
Is that what you think?
That's what I think.
Okay.
Never one to mince words.
Vice President Cashman.
So as Board Member Carrillo likes to say, I'm sure there are thousands of people watching, and they just weren't able to come with their kids and trying to get supper on the table, and they're watching from your home. And so if you want to have an input in the process, after you've listened to the candidates, you can reach out to board members. So if you want to have an input into the process.
We also have a board meeting tomorrow, and we will have public forum, so if anyone wants to come and speak to us, feel free to do that. We'll listen. All right. So we move on to the District 4 candidate interviews. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Secretary Noble.
Thank you. Just to say, I don't know if you got word, but Board Member Trujillo is unwell.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And thank you for pointing that out. She's ill. It's what happens when you go to new germ pools. She went to Washington, came back sick. Dr. Garcia went to New York, came back sick. Different germ pools. I try to avoid that. All right. All right, let's get started with the interviews. Gentlemen, why don't you come up and sit up here so we can describe the process to you. In a minute here, I'm going to have Mr. Grumler come up and flip a coin and decide who goes first. Okay, you will have 10 questions and an hour in which to answer us. I have a timer, and I will start it after we give you the questions. The person we're interviewing first will give you the questions, give you about 5 minutes to look through the questions, and then we suggest that you time yourselves, space yourself, and by all means, don't feel like you have to take an hour. Yeah. Any other comments from the board?
Just that I recollect us, so mine is, yeah. Oh, okay. So I recollect our saying in the last meeting, but if they were to go over a few minutes on a question or whatever, it wasn't going to be the end of the world. We're going to be amenable to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
We're pretty laid back here today.
We're pretty laid back.
That's why
here.
we're sitting down here. We're not sitting on the phone.
Great.
Okay, so, would you, yes, yes. Because it's a, oh, thank you.
Madam Board President, if it's okay with you and the board, John and I actually decided he's okay to go to first, and I'm okay allowing him to go first.
Well, I brought a quarter.
The reason being this, I have an upset stomach and.
Oh, okay. You want to settle your stomach? Okay, I'll put my quarter back in my pocket. I can use it. All right. Would you escort him to conference room A, please? And how we're going to do this is, board members, we'll just start with Mr. Carrillo. You'll ask a question, the first question, and then you go to this secretary, the second question, third question, fourth question, and we'll just keep rotating, okay? Does that seem fair to you?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you want to give John a chance to just read them first?
Yes. Oh, stop it. For 5 minutes. Oh, yes, yes. I'll give her Linda's.
That's what I said. We got to do that. And I went to volleyball. I'm so excited. I didn't know volleyball was so exciting.
Madam President, is this my water?
Yes, that's your water.
Thank you.
That's your, Steve, he's reading.
I want to be excused from the is that right?
Turn off your mic.
It is on.
Oh, you just have a manly voice. You ready? Okay. Board Member Creel?
Okay.
You might just want to leave your mic on.
I'll just-
Okay.
First question is, what are the jobs and responsibilities for board members as stated by state law, and how might these be used to guide the direction of the district?
School board members, the jobs and responsibilities for members, as stated by state law for school districts, is to create policy for the school districts, implement budgets for those school districts. I think what else is there? I believe there are certain federal and state laws that you have to adhere to for students that come from various backgrounds, and I believe that's some of it in a nutshell. I'm sure there's more to it, but
And then part two of the question of how would they be used to guide the direction of the district?
policy is what sets the course for the district. You need to work together as a team in order to have a common vision. It's 5 individuals that are up here just representing the school board itself. You also have your administrators, your superintendent, but as policymakers, you need to create the vision for the school district to where you want the school district to go to. Let me settle in here.
As a school board member, how do you see your role when your community wishes for one course of action and the overall school district may benefit or need a different course of action?
Sometimes as policymakers, the right course of action isn't always the most popular course of action. The perfect example is John F. Kennedy's book, Profiles in Courage. He profiled a bunch of different senators and congressmen who had to make some unpopular decisions when it came to their constituents, but it was the best thing for the country. It's not as big of a level, but at a local level, it's the same thing. You know, it wasn't easy for all of you to make the decision to combine Capshaw and DeVargas, but it was something that the school board felt would benefit the community in the long run. And sometimes it's having that long view picture, whereas a lot of the community members, they're only looking at the next 2 years for their kid. It really has nothing to do with the next 10.
A community member comes to you with a proposal for opening a grade 7 through 12 computer technologies charter school. He asks for your support in having the district charter school. How would you respond to this request?
I would have to let this community member know that there are policies in place and there's steps that need to be taken in order to do something like that. It's not something you can just promise to somebody. Working for Santa Fe County, you know, it'd be like someone going to a county commissioner and asking them to change the land development code for a certain area of the county. You can't just tell them, yes, I'm going to do that and put it on the next agenda and get that done. Well, you can say it, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. There are procedures in place that need to be taken care of. And at the same time, you need to see if it's even feasible, if you know the budget's there for it. If everybody has great ideas, but it always comes down to the money.
All right. Please describe what kind of school board member you imagine yourself being. In other words, how you will approach your role on the school board.
So I've been imagining this since I put my letter of interest in. And I want to be the type of member that's involved with the schools in my district, and not just the schools in my district, but as many schools as I can be involved with in the public school district. I see Member Carrillo at Capitol games and Santa Fe High games, and when I was a kid in high school, and I saw, you know, school board members and city councilors, so I've been keeping track of politicians for a long time, but you know, it encouraged me. It made me believe that the people who are making decisions really, you know, they cared about what we were doing, and they were involved in that. It motivated me to work harder. And I want to be the type of school board member that's out there amongst the community, not just coming here twice a month and you know, showing up to meetings, and that's about it. I'd like to develop, you know, relationships with the principals of the schools in District 4, and more importantly, get to develop relationships with the parents who are sending their kids to the schools in District 4.
how should teachers and principals be held accountable for their work?
I think student input has a lot to do with that. I'm sure, just like my organization where I work, you know, you have annual reviews or biannual reviews, and those do help. But I think there's a lot to be said when you talk to the people that are interacting with the individual that's being reviewed. Gives you a little bit more input, and you do need to have some wisdom involved, because, you know, a teacher doesn't make everybody happy. So there's some people who might some students who might try to, you know, just be mean and say something bad about the teacher. But I think that's a good way to find out how that teacher is, and the principal is working within the school. Peer reviews are always good too. You know, we spend more time with our coworkers than we do with our own families a lot of the time. And so, you know, I remember there was this, it was a long time ago when I was a kid, there was this game show where they would have, this was a long time ago, but they would have the boss, and they'd have his secretary, and they'd have his wife, and they would ask the wife and the secretary who knew him better, and a lot of the times the secretary won out. There's no knock on the wife, it's just that you spend more time with the person at work.
Learning about and using technology is critical for our students to be prepared for the future. It's also very costly. The Santa Fe Public Schools have 2 years left before the education technology note bonds must be renewed by public vote or board vote. What is your position on passing another bond to extend the district's technology plan beyond 5 years?
This is another one of those situations that goes back up to question 2, I believe, where sometimes you need to have the courage to make a decision without going to the public. It's very important that our students have a technological education, and if this was a situation where it needed to be decided by the board rather than going out to the public, that's a decision that should be done. I mean, we're looking long-term here again. With short-term, we've seen a lot of GRT GRT initiatives on the ballot get denied lately over the last year, couple years, and the fact of the matter is that people are tired of being taxed, and they're wondering where their money's going. The existing taxes and money are going. A situation like this, I think we would need to maybe do some polling to find out where the public is. A lot of the time they tend to go along with education. A lot of bonds that are put on the ballot, people vote for. But there's something with the electorate that's going on right now that I think as a body we probably would want to get we would want to put our finger on the pulse and find out where it is on that. And if it came down to it, then, you know, the board would have to make that decision. The board would have to make the decision to extend that bond without going to the public.
What is your understanding of the relationship between Santa Fe Public Schools and the National Education Association, NEA, and how might this relationship be utilized and/or strengthened to increase positive student outcomes?
I believe that the relationship between unions and management, I guess, is really important. It's a relationship that needs to be taken care of. There's some give and take that has to happen. I've always appreciated managers who are upfront and give you a yes or a no. And that's how I would be when it comes to the NEA. I wouldn't want to beat around the bush. I'd want to give them a direct answer. I'll tell them when if we can help or if we can't. And being honest with each other, that's how you strengthen a relationship. And, you know, a happy teacher in the classroom is going to put a lot more into his or her job, and you'll see the results with the kids moving on to the next grade or graduating.
Yeah, I just was waiting for her to finish her notes. Okay. What issues do you currently feel the school board and Santa Fe Public Schools are not addressing, and do you have any solutions you hope to implement to resolve these concerns?
I kind of mentioned this in the community forum that we had about a month ago, but I'd like to improve relationships between Santa Fe Public Schools and the city of Santa Fe and even Santa Fe County. The city of Santa Fe is putting a lot of multifamily housing in District 4. And I do realize that there is a need for it in this city. The rental market is out of control, and we do need more rentals. However, the schools in District 4 are at or over capacity, and there's got to come a point where we need to tell the city we can't support this project, because where are we going to put these kids? And we don't want to be shipping kids out of their neighborhood that they're living in, busing them out. It just comes down to creating that relationship where we can tell them that we can't support a certain project if it's not in our best interest.
What do you see as the most important? What do you see as the most important aspect of representing District 4 constituents when making decisions that impact all students?
The most important aspect of representing District 4 is figuring out a way to get the parents more involved in the students' education, more involved in the school. I understand. I'm a single father, and I work too, but there's got to be a way to get more parent involvement when it comes to the kids in District 4. I mentioned this at the community forum that the majority of the population in Santa Fe, in District 4 in particular, more than half of the population in that district is under the age of 18. So that's where our future workforce, our future managers, our future politicians, our future, a lot of our future is in District 4. And we need to hammer that away at the parents so that they understand this is important. This isn't a place for, school isn't a place just to babysit your kid. Your kid is going to grow up, and we want them to be a successful member of the city of Santa Fe, and we want to keep them here. We want to build our workforce. We want to make it strong. That to me, though, is the most important aspect of representing District 4. Is just getting more parent involvement and making parents understand that District 4 is literally the future of this city.
What are the characteristics of a graduate of the Santa Fe Public Schools? And I think this is meant to be a future,
Yeah.
an ideal graduate.
Yes, ideal.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say, I'm a graduate. I see the characteristics of a graduate from the Santa Fe Public Schools as somebody who's they have civic pride. They feel a duty to serve their community. If they choose to become parents one day, that, education is an important thing for their children. That's one of the keys in raising their kids. Impressing that upon their children, that you need a good education. That a graduate from Santa Fe Public Schools is ready to take on whatever it is they want to do in the world, whether that be the military. I have 3 brothers who served in the military and have done really well. One of them will be retiring from the National Guard in 3 years. Or whether they decide they want to go on to college or start a business or whatever it may be, that they can go out and they'll be successful in their lives.
That's 10 questions. Oh, yeah. I should have done that before. Yeah. What will happen is we will vote on the December 6th.
Okay.
Okay? And we have to do it in an open meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be the school board meeting that we will vote. And Board Member Correa, you had a comment?
And actually, well, the first thing, and I want to speak to that, December 6th, it's a special meeting, so the only thing happening
Yes.
that night is the vote.
That's right.
And I don't think we've gotten an answer yet from our council, from Lisa, around, hello, I was like, look, around whether or not we can do a ballot that's initially, I don't want to use the word secret, but then it's disclosed, so that we don't vote orally right away, so that so there's not a swing one direction or another. Because I know that's something we were looking into, and I know nobody does that. There's probably no AG decision on that, but it's something that we definitely certainly need clarification in the next.
Before
4
the
weeks.
6th.
Yeah. Anyway, so the other thing I was going to say was to John, and if it's okay with the president, if John wanted to take a moment and kind of look at the questions just one last time and see if there's anything that he wants to add. That was just my thought, if it would be okay with the president.
You wanted to say something?
Before you do that, I don't have a problem with that, if that pleases the board president. But just, I'm a detailed person, so we vote on the 6th, but whoever is chosen won't be sworn in until the meeting on December 12th.
Okay.
And the reason we've done that is we thought it would be awkward, since a vote has to be taken in public, and if you were going to be sworn in immediately after that, you can bring a judge to swear you in, or we can provide one. Your family and friends would be here, and if everybody brought families and friends on the 6th, it could be awkward for the person that isn't selected.
Right.
So that's why, we can't do it any sooner than the 6th, because until Board Member Trujillo steps down, which will be midnight on the 5th, we can't choose a new board member until the 6th. So that's why there's a big gap between your interview and when we select. But I also want to say thank you for applying for the job, and no matter whatever we decide on, we hope that you'll continue to have interest in the public schools, and that the seat will be open. Whoever sits in that seat is only filling the remainder of Board Member Trujillo's term, and then a new term will start in March of 2019.
So there'll be an election.
So there'll be an election, so. Okay, so now.
Is there anything you would like to say to us?
I just want to thank you, board members, for the opportunity to come here and answer these questions. I don't think I need to expand on any of them. I like to keep things short and sweet personally. It is what it is. And
I appreciate that so much. You just saved us a half an hour.
Great. I have 3 sons in the public schools. That's why, I felt that I should put a letter of interest in. Again, thank you, and thank you, public school employees, for giving me this opportunity to share my answers with you as well.
Thank you very much for putting up with this. It can't be fun.
I was pretty nervous coming in.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Would you get the candidates?
Yes.
Thank you, since you're up.
Yep.
And would you put this? Thank you.
There were different iterations we discussed about how to achieve that. And I think if there was some idea of trying to get it done simultaneously, something I did with writing it down.
I'd like to present the answers, because that way it's not centralized.
That could possibly work. And maybe write down
You're going to have to get used to having your picture taken.
That's my first workshop.
Okay, you have in front of you, you have 10 questions. You'll have an hour to answer the questions. We're going to give you about 5 minutes now to read over the questions. And if you just look up when you're done with reading the questions to yourself, okay? Yeah. You can tell I'm used to proctoring exams. You ready?
Yes, board member.
Okay.
So are we just picking whatever question we want?
No,
Or
you're
we're
going to have to
doing
answer all 10.
all- Right, but do we?
We're going to read them
Okay.
one at a time. Board Member Creel?
Welcome, Rudy.
Thank you.
First question is, what are the jobs and responsibilities for board members as stated by state law, and how might these be used to guide the direction of the district?
Board member, President Price, board members. I feel the job responsibility of the board is actually to the fiduciaries to first of all look at the budget of the board and make sure that the budget is compliance with the state laws with public education department, obviously. I also think the board position of the board is actually for policy making, direction to give to the superintendent and to hopefully implement the intention of the board for policy making. That's how I would answer.
As this, sorry?
I was going to ask him the same way I did the last candidate, the second part of the question of how might these be used to guide the district?
I think I'm not used to this. I'm always used to a board member Price, board members, actually board president Price, board members. I feel the direction, the policy direction that the board actually takes will actually guide the superintendent to outline the directions what the board actually would like to use. But then obviously we have to stay within the state law, what the state public education department actually passes, what the state legislature passes, whether it's the grading of the teachers, whether it's the grading of the schools, the districts. So we definitely have to follow the laws of the state. And so whatever the board actually implements as a whole, that's the direction that we need to give to the superintendent to actually move forward, to move the district forward.
Secretary Noble?
Thank you, President Price. As a school board member, how do you see your role when your community wishes for one course of action and the overall school district may benefit or need a different course of action?
Board member, Madam President, board members, or Secretary Noble. That's kind of a challenging question that I think is happening right now within the school district. I know sometimes we have the major issues that have come up of closing some of the schools that the board has taken a direction on. One of the directions is combining some of the schools. And I know the community out there, there's many community members, individuals out there that want consolidation. So let's take example Milagro that don't want consolidation. And I personally think that the school board actually did the right thing to consolidate the school and create one school for that, because if you really look at, if you explain to the general public or the public out there as into why they had to consolidate the schools, it's too costly. In my opinion, it was costly to actually have both schools run separately. So that's how I would answer that question, as into I think I would actually hopefully do the right choice that would benefit the overall school district.
Vice President Cashman?
A community member comes to you with a proposal for opening a grade 7 through 12 computer technologies charter school. He asks for your support in having Santa Fe Public School District charter the school. How would you respond to this request?
Board Member President Price, Board Member Cashman, I think the school district right now, the Board of Education needs to come up with a good policy of what they're going to do in regards to charter schools, because right now charter schools are actually challenging the local public school bodies, the boards, as into taking our students from our public schools. And I am for charter schools. I think charter schools are great. I just would like to know what the direction the board as a whole would like to take on the direction for charter schools. And I would actually definitely explain that to the constituent that would come out and ask for this charter school, the 7th to 12th charter school.
Please describe what kind of school board member you imagine yourself being. In other words, how you will approach your role on the school board.
Board member, President Price, board members, I want to be a board member that actually does good for the school district. I think the district, in my opinion, is doing great. I would like to continue the work that board member Trujillo is doing for District 4 in working with all of you guys as a core for everybody to work together. I also see my board, if I was chosen for the board, to be a good listener to the community. There's a lot of things that I would have in mind that I would like to actually present to the board as a whole if I was chosen. Some of the things is bridging the gap. I think there's a gap out there between the city, the county, and the schools. I feel sometimes the schools actually are doing this, the city's doing this, the county's doing this, and then when we all live in this community, and I think that we need to somehow, one of the ideas I would have is committee putting together some sort of idea how we can work with, like I said, work with the county, work with the city, because that way we all live in this community and we're all doing the same thing and we're all moving forward. I have passion for this community. I have passion for the schools. Obviously, I've been on the Citizens Review Committee already for 12, 14 years. I actually helped work on general obligation bond projects, or a list for almost, $200 million that we've worked out in the last 11, 12 years. And the school board, school district, through the great help of the staff that we have actually implemented the construction of those schools. I definitely understand there's 1 to 2 subcommittees that you guys have to attend. I'm willing to attend that. I'm willing to attend all of the school board meetings. And I actually I work well with others, so I think I would work well with all of you four board members. And like I said, I'm a good listener, very loyal to when it comes to a position, when it comes to my job, to what I need to do, so I'm a very loyal person, so I'm very loyal to this community. Some of the other things as a board member that I have questions about is regarding I think the redistricting is going to be coming up, and I'm very interested in how District 4 is going to be redistricted, because as we probably know, that district is actually busting at the seams. You see developments. This is one of the ways I would like to work with the city and or the county is you see Los Solares. It's a huge subdivision that's getting built right there by the new hospital. I was just reading an agenda item the other day at the city council. There's another approval for like 250 more lots, homes. Where are these kids going to go to school? You know, whether we can work with the developer, work with the city and the zoning department, and actually say, you know, maybe we can somehow come up with some sort of impact fees that the county has a code, the city has a code, and maybe we can actually work some sort of an agreement out with the city and or county to create an impact fee for the developers to not just donate land, but actually provide the infrastructure for this school site, or provide some sort of impact fees possibly for a school that needs to be built.
How should teachers and principals be held accountable for their work?
Board President Price, Board Member Carrillo, I feel that it's a hard question. I think as long as the superintendent and the board has given good direction to the schools and to the teachers. I was reading the core values inside of the conference room there, which are very good, excellent core values. I don't know whether we do testing, whether we do grading. I don't know how I know we have to follow public PED rules, but I don't know how the school district of Santa Fe should actually make teachers accountable for their work. I don't know that we should actually create some sort of a testing, scoring type of information that we actually give to every school. I don't know exactly how I would gauge that.
Learning about and using technology is critical for our students to be prepared for the future. It's also very costly. The Santa Fe Public Schools have 2 years left before the Education Technology Note bonds must be renewed either by public vote or board vote. What is your position on passing another bond to extend the district's technology plan beyond 5 years?
Board Member Price, Secretary Noble. I think that's an interesting question because I was talking with somebody about it the other day. As you know, in all of our schools, we have these nice whiteboards that are in every one of these schools. And I, several years ago, asked my cousin's little boy, "How do you like your new smartboard in the classroom?" And he said, "Oh, we don't use it." I said, "How come you don't use it?" He said, "Because our teacher doesn't know how to use it." And so I think we're in a position where kind of throwing this out there is whenever we are getting information for a general obligation bond, we were talking about it on the Citizens Review Committee, everything was social media, and I said, hold on here, my grandparents don't have a cell phone, so how do you get out to them because they do vote? And so I think we're at that moment in time in the school district where we have the teachers that have been there for a while that don't really use this as their everyday device, and then we have the newer educators that come forward, and this is what they use every day, all day of their life, as well as the kids these days. And so I would want to know if the current bond and all the money that we've spent on the current infrastructure, if it's being used, and if it's not being used, and if it's definitely being used, 80–90% of it, then I would definitely support another bond to be passed or handed out to the voters to vote on it. Because I'm very curious to see whether or not all the IT stuff that we have in all of these schools, are they being used or not. I saw my cousin's little boy the other day carrying home, they're all excited they're at Capitol because they got their,
Chromebooks.
Right, the Chromebooks, and I have yet to ask him whether or not it's good for him or not, and I assume it would be.
What is your understanding of the relationship between Santa Fe Public Schools and the National Education Association, NEA, and how might this relationship be utilized and/or strengthened to increase positive student outcomes?
President Price, Board Member Cashman, I don't know the answer to this question. I don't know what the relationship is between the Santa Fe Public Schools and the National Education Association. And so I'm definitely willing to actually learn what role the NEA has in working with not just the Santa Fe Public School District, but do they have a role in working with every school district in the state, or is it just state of New Mexico, or is it just public education department? So I don't know the answer to that.
Can I just clarify that, just in case? There are a union, our teachers union.
Oh, okay.
So do you want to change or expound on it a little bit more, or still?
No, actually, Board President Price, board member, I feel that the teachers union I feel that unions are very important to an organization. We have actually a union where I'm employed at, and I actually would love to listen to the union and see what concerns they do have. And so I definitely would be a listener to the unions of the schools.
What issues do you currently feel the school board and the Santa Fe Public Schools are not addressing? And do you have any solutions you hope to implement to resolve these concerns?
Board President Price, I think right now some of the challenges that we have in the school district is early childhood preschool. This is something that we need to look into. I know it seems like we're just getting our feet wet, and that's definitely needed in the community. Where do we go with it? I don't know. I know, like I said, we're getting our feet wet, so which I think is a great thing for the community. Everybody out there seems that they love it. I think it's great for a kid these days from 3 years to start going to school. Let's see what other things. I think also I think retention and compensation for our educators. How do we keep them working with our school district and not lose them, and certainly give them raises? And I know the budgets are very, very tight, but that's one of the things I think I would like to see the school board work on. Another thing I would like to see is how do we get kids back in our public school system? I don't know exactly how we do that, but it's something we need to get kids back in our school system. I don't know, you know, I know a kid that actually goes to West Point. He's already his third year in West Point. He actually went to Santa Fe High. And he, you know, I don't know, do we promote kids like that? Are we promoting kids like that? Do we need to put an ad in the paper saying, look, so-and-so is a West Point graduate? Because there's tons of intelligent kids that come out of the Santa Fe public school systems. And one other good thing is I'm a product of the public schools also. And like I mentioned earlier, my passion for schools is for the community. They're our next generation that are going to take care of us and give us our surgeries and do what they need to do. I can't give you all my ideas, board member.
It's an aside, but remember the commencement speaker, I think it was last year at Santa Fe High School, who was the graduate, and she's now going on to like advanced medical. She's already a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
She was so inspiring.
Commencement,
You
yeah.
know. And all of our boys that went to UNM, right? Okay.
So those are probably three of the major ones I would actually hit.
Okay. What do you see as the most important aspect of representing District 4 constituents when making decisions that impact all students?
Board President Price, Board Member Carrillo. I think District 4 has a very unique district. It's overcrowded. There's many schools in that area, as we saw in the paper, or we didn't see in the paper on Saturday or on Sunday, is the Airport Road redevelopment area, which I hope the city actually gets the schools involved in that, because we definitely need to be involved in that overlay district of what the city plans on doing, what the next councilor plans on doing in that district. The ethnic backgrounds in that district, there's local, there's actually different people, there's just, the ethnicity in that area is something that the school district needs to look at. Like I said, I'd like to be a good listener to that district. I actually went to school in that district. I went to school at Sunset. And those of you who don't know what Sunset is, it was called Sweeney. I grew up in District 4. I grew up off the Airport Road area. I live in District 4, obviously, and it's just an important district. And every time we all drive down there and we see the new hospital and we see the growth of that area, we need to figure out what's going to happen in that district.
What do you see as the most important aspect of what are the characteristics of an ideal graduate of the Santa Fe Public Schools?
Board President, Board Secretary, I think that a great graduate from the Santa Fe Public Schools should have the ability to go into college and actually not be left behind in college, because it seems like sometimes whenever a student goes from school to the university's college, their first or 2 years is very hard and struggling for them. I would actually like to see these kids go and be wanting to be fed more work. Give me some more work, give me some more homework, do this. And I don't know that we're actually doing that. One of the key things I would like to the previous question, if I can just answer that, is I see it, I'll bring it up, I see at St. Mike's, whenever a kid goes from the 7th to 8th grade, they actually meet the teacher and say, hi, I'm going to be your 8th grade teacher. Oh, great, I'll see you in 3 more months, but here's a book you're going to read this summer so we can do a book report the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks of school. And I would like to see where we can actually do that in the public schools instead of saying on the last day of school, bye, we'll see you in 3 months, and we lose that kid during the summer no matter what grades there are. So that's a little bit off of the subject, but I think each graduate of Santa Fe Public Schools should have the ability to go to college. And I also understand that not every kid wants to take on academics or wants to take on a college career. I think so many of the kids in District 4 would actually like to do, whether it's automotive work, whether it's plumbing, electrical work. And whenever I went to high school, VOTEC was actually opened. And there's a lot of my friends actually that are plumbers, electricians, and roofers now that they didn't want to go to college. And they're actually very successful.
Okay, you can breathe now. Would you like to
So let me just explain what happens next. On December 6th, we will actually vote on who will replace Board Member Trujillo. We can't vote ahead of that time because Board Member Trujillo still fills that seat until midnight of
The 5th.
the 5th. And so on the 6th, we will go ahead and it will be an open forum. We will go ahead and select the next board member. One of the reasons we decided we'll select on the 6th, but you won't be sworn in until December 12th, is because you'll want your family and friends here, or hopefully your family and friends and community members may want to come in, and we thought it would be uncomfortable if you both bring families and friends and we select one person, not the other. And we'd also like to encourage you, no matter what we do, that the board member will fill out the term until the end of February of 2019. And so if we don't select you, we hope that you'll still consider to run for election when the normal election cycle comes up. But we really thank you for coming and speaking with us, and we appreciate your interest in Santa Fe Public Schools.
Before we go on, is there anything you would like to say to us?
Board President, board members, I would just like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to actually interview for the school board position. I'm very interested in the school board position, and I think you all do a great job. I'd like to continue what Board Member Trujillo is doing for District 4, so I appreciate the interview. Thank you.
Just that same thing I asked John, is there anything that you may want to expand on before we completely close it up tonight? If there's any thoughts you have on any of those questions?
Board President, board member, no, there's not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Is there any? It depends. Is there any board discussion? A possible action? No. Okay. So then, is there anything that you want to add to advanced planning? No.
We can make it go longer.
No. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We're out of here.